This poor dog was tied down with a chain that weighs 4 kilograms. I'm not bullshitting. This is what it sounds like dragging on bare concrete. Which is what this animal was living on, with a doghouse which was also bare. Now, I have called the SPCA in the past, but they revealed my identity to the people even though I asked them not to, so I can't trust them, because the people I'm complaining about is the owners of the place where I'm renting. I hope that makes sense. It means that if they really dislike me, I might end up, quote-unquote, he moved away. Nobody knows where he... But I can't stand the abuse of an animal. When this poor dog was struggling to breathe and showed signs of difficulty swallowing, I took it off the chain. The collar it had on was held together by zip ties, so pieces of plastic with rough edges and sharp pieces of metal where the studs have broken. Imagine this being pulled around your neck by this heavy weight that is constantly pulling your head to the ground. With the chain on, this poor dog didn't move around much. I know that because you can hear the sound of this chain dragging along the concrete very clearly. Trust me, it sounds like Freddy Krueger's after you. That is understandable. I mean, if you had a heavy weight pulling you to the ground, causing you pain, you'd choose to stay still for as long as you could. Did I tell you that this area was completely closed off, as in boarded up? So now imagine you're way down on bare concrete. I don't know how you would put your head down without any pain, because this chain was attached with a rope climbing device, called a carabiner, which is a spring-loaded metal shackle. This was absolute torture, and it hurts me so deeply that people are able to commit these horrible acts on a poor animal while they dance and party their lives away just a few meters away, without feeling any remorse or empathy. I'm always wondering why. Just why? Why would you want to have a dog and then do this? This is not boys will be boys. Animal abuse is not normal playtime fun for anyone, let alone for children, because the complete lack of empathy for animals will carry over into a lack of empathy for human beings. When this dog was loose, it acted very strangely for a dog. It wasn't aggressive in any way. It was afraid. Any movement that I made would send it running away with its tail between its legs. Even after I would comfort it, it was so traumatized that it was as if it expected me to change and hurt it. No matter how much I would try and reassure it, it just always expected to be beaten or something. I'm not even joking. It couldn't even walk normally, as if everything was brand new. There's an old wooden bed, the base part. It couldn't place its paws on wood. It was afraid. It couldn't walk past a plant with leaves. It just kept crawling along the floor like an insect. It would always have a back leg stretched out as if to ground it back to that point where it feels safe, except nowhere seemed like it was safe. Even unchained, it didn't want to explore. I couldn't place a leash around its neck to take it for a walk because it did not want to move. I had to stand with it for hours just to reassure it that I wasn't going to hurt it. Even if I wanted to pet it, it kept running away, then stop and come back so I could rub his head. All the while, it was shaking, just standing there. If I tried to hug him with both hands, he would run away again. And it went like that for days until I decided to just bring it in my room. Problem is that it started to eat the mattress. The blanket that's furry, it pulls the hairs out and eats it. Probably because it feels like meat? I don't know. But even inside, it does not want to move. It always needs my reassurance, and to get it in the room, I had to carry it because it does not want to walk. Inside, I could see that it needed to use the toilet, but it didn't want to move. Literally. His stomach was making noises. It kept farting, and it even made that circular walk and was digging, like dogs do before they take a dump. But it was holding it and then came to put his head under me. So I had to carry it out again. It can't be walked anywhere. Outside, it only makes small sprints like here and there. But in the yard it's kept, it literally sits in a corner all day. Even now without the chain. The dog owner did put the chain back on, this time even tighter. So I heard the dog struggling to breathe and like this dry mouth noise, kind of like when you have tonsillitis. So I took off the chain again, the one with the metal shards on the inside. And when the owner came back that evening, he asked why the dog was loose again. And the usual stay out of it speech. Now, if you're human with normal human feelings, you'll know that just staying out of it is not that easy. To those people who don't have feelings for an animal, think of it like this. If someone had a 3-year-old kid next door, kept on a heavy chain in a yard that was cordoned off to the world, would you be able to go about your life as if nothing happened? No, of course not. You'd be reminded of it every time you heard the child or caught a glimpse of the child with a thick, heavy chain around its neck. You wouldn't be able to sleep, work, or to concentrate knowing that just a few meters away, there's a child being abused. Also, the fact that you know that everyone around you knows, but it's just you who seems to be bothered by it. So no one's gonna help, and that makes you feel even more guilty. But even worse is the fact that these things are happening all over and no one seems to care. The previous dog that was here was shipped off to live somewhere else. So now I have the benefit of knowing that poor dog is being abused and neglected, and there's nothing I can do about it. And in a few days, this dog will be moved too. Out of sight, but not out of mind. If you live in a community like mine, where animal abuse is considered normal, then you probably know that the term animal lover is considered to something like an insult, kind of like Jesus freak, you know? But you're the one torturing animals like Jeffrey fucking Dahmer, and you think I'm weird? I'm the weird one, like really? And the final update, I guess, the next day the dog, the heavy chain, and the doghouse was gone. Obviously, it makes me sad, knowing that the chain is going back on. But what makes me feel even worse is, did I make the situation worse for the dog by showing it what was really missing in its life? The life it could have had, where it was loved, where there was someone to hold it when it was afraid. To now have to go back to such a sad and miserable life of fear, pain, and suffering. Or will it hold on to those memories? The memories of the 2 nights lying down on a soft surface with actual blankets and being loved. I can't help but feel totally helpless and depressed, knowing that dog, which I would call a friend, is being subjected to a life of suffering worse than death. I'll never forget the look it gave me when the owner was here. I am possibly reading too much into it, but to me it looked like it was saying, please help me. And there's literally nothing I can do. Everyone assumes that there are systems in place to prevent the suffering of animals, but you'll be shocked at how little we can really do. There are millions of animals beaten to death every day. Like this case I just found about a man who was brutally beating a horse that was pulling a cart that collapsed under its own weight. I can't even see the logic here. Was this piece of shit blaming the horse for his piece of shit cart falling apart? Instead of picking up his rubbish littering the road, he just kept beating the poor animal. You know what's really fucked up? This was on a public road, and they only received 1 phone call from the guy who was aware enough to film it for proof. When the cop showed up, this asshole became aggressive and denied any assistance to the horse. When animal health professionals arrived, the 2 suspects had run away. The vet then found that the animal had many other injuries from years of abuse, like healed over broken bones and detached ligaments. Can you imagine what this poor animal had to endure his whole life? Those are not thoughts that people really think about, but I do. Imagine day in and day out being subjected to beatings, hard labor, a life of loneliness and solitude, never having known any form of kindness or love from anyone, because the people it was with were the real animals. You had a whole community that witnessed this horse being abused and isolated, and not one person bothered to let someone know. These people live in a whole community of people who just don't have feelings of empathy or compassion, or a need to help others who are suffering, who's being abused and tortured on a regular basis. And I bet you that the majority of those people think of themselves as good people. That's in quotation marks. If I could interview every person who knew about the horse, I'd ask them, like, what do you think an animal, like a horse or a dog, is exactly? It could be multiple choice for those people because, you know, like, A, those are just animals and animals have no feelings or emotions like a virus or something. B, I don't care if they have feelings because the suffering of others don't bother me. C, I'm allowed to hurt animals because the Bible says so. D, it turns me on sexually to see animals in pain. Or E, I felt bad about it, but as soon as I closed my door, I stopped thinking about it. Not my problem. When you ask anyone if animal cruelty is wrong, they will all agree, but still these cases are still too common. Like this case, where a horse was forced to pull 900 kilograms, a whole car. And you won't believe this, there were 3 guys on top of the car while the horse was forced to pull it alone. What a bunch of lazy fucking assholes. Have you ever tried pushing a car down the road, even when there are 3 of you pushing? It's a lot of hard work, right? So what the fuck were these motherfuckers thinking? Do they think a horse is like a robot or something? Or like Superman, that it doesn't get tired, that it can't feel pain? And to top it off, the horse was suffering from many injuries when it was forced to pull this heavy load. Everyone goes on about how bad slavery was, right? But yet here we have people who torture these poor animals, force them to work in unimaginable conditions like this, day after day, be beaten, and when they fracture a leg, they aren't given a chance to heal properly. There is no day off for these animals, no weekends, no public holidays, no union to negotiate working hours. No, it has to work or it gets a beating. In the other video, you can see the animal trying to get away. It's in pain, and it is crying out, shouting for help to stop the beating. And no one comes to help. All it sees around are humans who are uncaring and cruel. It has nothing to look forward to because it knows tomorrow it is just more of this, being beaten, forced to do hard work that causes pain and suffering, and always being afraid because a beating can come at any time. Your keepers don't communicate with you. No one tells you if you do this, you will be beaten. No one listens to you when you are tired, thirsty, or hungry. To live a life like that, a life of terror, loneliness, and being beaten at any time, that is the worst life you could have ever imagined. Now, picture that horse, or even puppy, just after it was born. People are coming to adopt it. One person who will give it a good life, a life of just good memories and playful joy and laughter, where it will be loved, taken care of, looked after. But just before that person managed to get there, you showed up, maybe a few minutes before, and you took that little baby away from the love of its mother, only for it to end up living a life of misery as a slave, in a cruel, uncaring world. Day after day, year after year, there's no end to your suffering, no hope, no rescue, being tortured for years and years, and then you get to lose your life in the most horrific way, in a lot of pain, and you're responsible for that. Do you have any kind of remorse for what you've done? For the pain you have caused? You animal.